Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Lauren Lemanchek. Now let's get to the headlines. New this afternoon, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is directing the Department of Justice to seek the death penalty for Luigi Mangione. He's accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan. Mangione's pleading not guilty to federal charges of stalking and murder. Bondi, in a statement, said Mangione's murder of Brian Thompson was premeditated and cold-blooded. Mangione's also facing state charges of first-degree murder in New York. Right now, Wisconsinites are heading to the polls to decide their next Supreme Court justice. It's the first swing state election in President Trump's second term and could be an early indicator about how voters feel he's doing. The race will decide if liberal justices keep control of the court, and voters we heard from today know how important this race is.
Just thinking about last couple of elections here in Waunakee and in the state of Wisconsin, we're the purplest of the purple states right now. So it's important for people to come out and make sure their voice is heard.
Well, Wisconsin being generally a swing state, there's a lot of, I guess, pressure on us to influence, like our outcome will influence what happens, a lot, in the country.
Now, this race is also in the national spotlight because of the huge amount of money being spent on it. Danny Spiewak has a final look at the race as it crosses the finish line.
On Tuesday, voters in Wisconsin will elect a new state Supreme Court justice. The Liberal candidate Susan Crawford is a former prosecutor and private practice attorney who defended Planned Parenthood.
I'm really focused on Wisconsin and protecting the rights of Wisconsinites under our laws.
While the conservative candidate Brad Schimmel is a former state attorney general who touts endorsements from law enforcement.
Because they know that I put public safety first. I put the people I serve first.
The winner of the race will determine ideological control of the court. That could impact cases on abortion rights, collective bargaining, and the drawing of electoral maps.
It's hard to overstate the significance.
But UW River Falls political science expert Neil Krause says this election matters far beyond Wisconsin because it might provide insight into how voters feel about President Trump so far.
I think it could be a kind of a referendum on a lot of that stuff.
For that reason, this election is the most expensive judicial race in American history, led by at least $18 million in spending by Elon Musk's conservative groups.
I'm not phoning it in. I'm here in person.
During a visit to Green Bay this weekend, Musk framed this as a battle for control of the U.S. House, since Wisconsin's Supreme Court has played a role for years in legal challenges to the state's congressional maps.
This is one of those things that may not seem that it's going to affect the entire destiny of humanity, but I think it will.
Musk even gave $1 million checks to two people for supporting a petition against activist judges, in a move challenged unsuccessfully by the state's Democratic Attorney General, who argued it was an illegal attempt to pay voters. Governor Tim Walz agreed.
It's an outrageous affront on the democracy, and I'm calling him out on it.
Schimmel denied any involvement in Musk's trip to Green Bay.
I knew nothing about it. I am not part of that event.
But Musk's groups are his largest donor.
Is Elon Musk calling the shots on your campaign?
Elon Musk is calling no shots in my campaign. All he's asked of me is that I follow the law.
Meanwhile, Crawford has accused Musk of trying to buy a seat on the Supreme Court.
I never could have dreamed I would be fighting against the richest man in the world.
But outside groups have helped her too, including Democratic billionaires J.B. Pritzker and George Soros.
Brad Schimmel has said he didn't solicit support from Elon Musk. Did your campaign solicit support from George Soros or J.B. Pritzker or others?
No, we didn't. And in fact, those contributions were made to the Wisconsin Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has been generous in transferring funds to my campaign.
Well, another twist to all of this, Elon Musk's company, Tesla, has litigation tied up in Wisconsin right now that could go to the state Supreme Court. Schimmel says he would recuse himself from any case in which he felt he had a conflict of interest. New today, more layoffs across federal health agencies. They're part of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr.'s plan to reshape the public health system. There are close to 10,000 jobs being cut at several agencies, including the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Food and Drug Administration, and the National Institute of Health, to name a few. Officials say some of the eliminated positions could be moved to a new entity called the Administration for a Healthy America. We also learned today Minnesota is one of the 23 states suing HHS over its rollback of $12 billion in public health funding. The lawsuit calls the cuts unlawful and harmful, saying they will lead to key public health services being stopped and thousands of healthcare workers losing their jobs. HHS leadership says that money was distributed for the COVID pandemic response, and it will no longer, quote, allow waste billions of dollars of taxpayer money on a non-existent pandemic that Americans moved on from years ago. A trail of destruction tonight in several parts of the U.S. Take a look at the damage an EF2 tornado left behind in Grand Prairie, Louisiana. You can see homes and buildings flattened by the high winds. Some people in this area are still without power tonight and are bracing for another round of severe weather this weekend. The Midwest is getting slammed as well. Heavy rain, hail, and high winds rolled through Michigan, ripping the roof clean off this mobile home. 4 people have died during the severe weather in Michigan, and now there's a threat of flash flooding. Back to the south now, several students were hurt when this school's gym roof collapsed during heavy rain. 2 of those students had to go to the hospital. The other 3 had minor injuries. All are expected to be okay. We have new pictures tonight showing the conditions inside a Connecticut home where a man was allegedly held captive for 20 years by his stepmother. The 32-year-old was only discovered after investigators say he started a fire at the home to escape. The victim told police he was kept in a room that was locked from the outside. And when he was pulled from the home in February, investigators say he weighed just 68 pounds.
And the victim was crawled up in a little ball underneath the table. And then I went up to him, scooped him up, and then just took him right out the front door.
I saw the mother and at the time what I thought was a child in the kitchen. He was in the fetal position in the kitchen.
Prosecutors say these pictures, along with the victim's statements, will help the most when his stepmother goes to trial because the alleged abuse was happening for so long and no one knew about it. Minnesota's 5th season is officially underway, the construction season. Crews got their start on a few major projects across the metro this week, and some of them will last all summer. Gordon Severson shows us what we can expect.
People often say road construction in Minnesota is like a 5th season. And every season has its holiday. If there was one for road construction, today would be the day.
I mean, that's a holiday that I'll be glad to get rid of if we can at all.
A holiday Uptown Diner general manager Pablo Ferrero had to endure last year.
Dramatic drop-off in business.
When Hennepin Avenue was closed on one side of his business, now it's the other side.
I think we're going to feel a little more this time around.
Because this time around, one of the entrances to their parking lot is shut down. Just a few miles down the road, work has also started on I-94 between 35W and Huron Boulevard. Drivers should expect to see several ramp closures as crews work on 5 bridges on 94.
We are starting to get into the construction season.
Kent Barnard with MnDOT says a major project in Coon Rapids is also underway.
We've had a bottleneck in this area quite a few years.
The project includes a 3rd lane on Highway 10 in both directions. Barnard says no roads will be shut down completely, but drivers will see lane and ramp closures throughout the summer.
By the time we're done with all the work in this area, you're going to have smooth sailing all the way out to Elk River.
And like every season, change is inevitable. While it's often difficult when it happens, there is hope for better times down the road.
That businesses are going to return, people are going to return. You know, things come and go and they come back again.
Tonight, the Timberwolves will be without Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo after they were suspended for 1 game after an on-court fight Sunday during their game with the Pistons. That's the penalty handed down from the NBA for the altercation. The Pistons' Ron Holland and Marcus Sasser have also been suspended 1 game, while forward center Isaiah Stewart's been suspended 2 games. The NBA says that's because of his continued unsportsmanlike conduct. Well, stick with us. More news and weather is coming up after the break.